Okay guys, welcome back to another fix up my hood. Welcome back to another Scrap and Irish video. And what have I got for this video? Well, what have I got here? Well, I'll show you. So what I've got in here, it's inside here. These were sent to me by a subscriber to, they weren't sure whether they were gold or not gold. So this is what's been sent to me. So they look like little brass, essentially bullets and stuff like that, but they're from audio cables and video cables, so I'm presuming they're gold plated. Now we all know that when they say gold plated on these kind of devices, sometimes it can be gold plated, or sometimes it can be just very thinly plated and stuff like that on them. So there's only one way to find out if they're actual gold or not. So we have a few of them here, just a couple. Well, if when I say a few, we've got about, I don't know, maybe dropping them, a handful like that of them. So we're going to go and we're going to test these out and see if they're actually gold or what type of gold is on them. Are they gold plated, gold flashed, what are they? And the only way, the best way I find of doing it is with nitric acid. So I have nitric acid that I was using last year, taking gold plating off other stuff. So hopefully it's still going to have enough nitric in the solution to actually take it off these, because I don't want to use fresh nitric and waste it on these, because again, I don't know what the quality of gold is like on them. So we're going to use nitric I already have from last year that was used. So it's going to be a blue color, because if you already know, if you use nitric on base metals, it all the time, well, not all the time, but most times will turn a blue color. So it's going to be a blue color, but I'm hoping there's still enough nitric in it to get the gold from these. So we're going to go and we're going to get this working. So again, from a subscriber, so who wants to remain anonymous, don't want to say who they are, but they sent me these. They don't do gold recovery themselves, really. It's more just scrap and stuff like that they're into. So they sent me these little connector ins or something. Where's my camera? It's there. I keep going the wrong way, so it's over here. So you can see it there. They're little cylinders. You can see through it. So again, I'm going to slice these down the middle and I'm going to flatten them out, because again, I want to create as much surface area as possible for the nitric acid to work on. Again, I'm going to heat up the nitric acid. It'll be warm. I'm not going to have it boiling or anything like that. But again, I'm wearing a mask. I'll have a mask on, so if the sound isn't great, sorry guys, that's because I have the mask on, and I'll have my gloves on as well when I'm messing with the nitric acid. So remember them, have your mask on, and again, it's going to be outside. So before everyone has a panic attack, it's going to be outside, and I'll leave it working and probably go away from it and come back after a while and see how it's getting on. So let's go and get this stuff into acid. So when you see them mixed, these will probably be little flat sheets, because I'm going to just slice them and flatten them out. So let's go and put it in the acid and see how we get on. Okay guys, so we're outside now and we're going to do these. So what I've done is I've broken them into smaller batches, so I'm going to put a small amount on at a time. I was going to flatten them, but I've decided not to flatten them. Don't ask me why, I just decided not to. So I've got my there, and there's the nitric acid in there from the solution that's already been used before, but I still think there's enough nitric in there to do what I want to do. And again, I have my mask, which I'm going to put on now, and we're going to start. And again, gloves are on, and these are not nitrile gloves, because again, don't use nitrile gloves if you're going to be messing with nitric acid. So let me just put on my mask. Okay, so we've put on the mask, so you probably can't hear me as good, but it's just safety first. So I'm going to start off by putting these into the container here. So a small amount first, and we'll add to them if we need to. I've got some heat going there, so that's, I can feel the heat, because I'm not expecting
a vigorous reaction when I put these on first, but when I get the heat going, we should be getting a more more explosive reaction with the heat. So we just have enough to cover, and you can see there's no real reaction at all at the moment. So I'm going to just add that to the heat, and we'll cover this with some sort of dish, so that it can work away. So we'll come back in a while once that's been working away for a while, and we'll see how it's getting on. Okay guys, so it's been about 20 minutes, and you can see there it's quite a reaction now. We have a lot of the nitrogen oxide building up in there, and I have a little wash dish put on top of just a dish. Essentially you can see the gold floating around in there, but it's very fine gold. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit. Sorry guys, we'll try and get it in, but we're not right away. I have the gloves on and it's not letting me do it on my phone. There we go. So, as you can see, it goes along here, and this is on the edging. Now, again, that gold is similar to the gold you would be on I'm going to turn the heat down because I don't need it at the moment. The reaction is working away, so I switched off the heat. Okay, so it's off. It's just telling me the plate is still hot, not to touch it, but it's quite warm. So I'm going to let that settle down. You can see the plumes of, you can see them green, but you see the plumes coming out here every so often. So if I open this out, you'll see a plume of that. That's why I have the mask on. There you go. So you can see the reaction when I let some oxygen into it. So you can see that it is quite vigorous. And then we zoom back out. So it is working away. It's dissolving down the material. The material is non-magnetic, so it's thin. So that's why wear your mask, guys. And just to prove, I am wearing my mask. Here we go. So wear your mask. I hope that you've seen that on the camera. But I am wearing the mask, and it is outside. So we're going to let that settle down, cool down a bit, let that work away. I may need to add some more acid, and then I can add more of them into it. But for the moment it is working, so I had a lot of nitric still left in that. So I'm going to let that work away. Might come back to it in an hour or so and see how it's got on. We'll have a look and see what's happened.
Right guys, so I've left it overnight to cool, so it's cooled down now. As you can see, it's gone a deep green. So I've pretty much saturated the liquid there now, and you can see the gold foils now. Everything hasn't been dissolved yet. There's still a lot of material to be dissolved. So what I'm going to do, you can even see, is there any? No, there is no gold on that. I thought there might be a few gold flakes stuck to it, but there is actually one or two. It's very hard to focus. Let me see if I put the glove there. There's little bits of gold flakes on there, but we can wash them off in a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this solution off into here and put in some more fresh solution in here and get it back on the heat and get it working. So you might be able to see the gold going in now when I pour this off.
pretty much got it all actually. Off there, still a few little bits of gold there. So I might just put a small bit of solution in, put it on heat, and see what we get out of it. But you don't need to see that because the main part of the gold is all in here floating around. So that's going to be filtered. I'm going to leave that aside. And as I say, my main aim was to use up this nitric from last year on this low grade stuff that's left before I start using fresh nitric on this here stuff. So again, I'm going to put some in here, put it on heat and let it do its work. So again, don't need an awful amount, just enough to, we'll go with that. That should be enough. So again, you don't need to see this part. We'll come back and we'll start filtering. So let's get the filtering done. Right guys, so I have, as you can see, finished the reactions. So it's time to filter them. So let me just get my gloves on. Now, so as you can see from it, there's one which is still has got that blue tinge to it, but the other one is completely saturated now with the copper or whatever base metals was inside of them gold recovery things. So you can see when I stirred, maybe you might be able to see the gold flakes all spinning around, but I'm not sure if you can or can't. Same on this one. You might be able to see some of the gold, but we have ready to begin the filtering now. So I'm not going to delay too long with you on this section because most of you will know how to filter. So I double layered my filters. I always double layer filters, so they're just regular coffee cup or coffee machine filters, nothing exciting about them. Not bleached, so they're unbleached, they're just the regular brown ones. You can buy the white bleached ones if you want. This was all I've left at the moment, so this is going to take a long time to filter, but losing some of it. Good job I had the gloves on. So that's why you should have your gloves on all the time. You can see there, if I had the gloves on, I was going to have nitric acid on my hands. Okay, we'll let that work away. Lost a few little gold flakings there, but won't be too worried about them. And I'll let that work away. And once I've filtered everything through, we'll come back. So I've got this to filter first, so let that filter, then I'm going to filter this green one, and then we'll filter the blue one. So there's still, obviously I think there's still some nitric that can be used again, so I'll put that back into another container. And when I've got low grade pins or something like that, I'll use that nitric on it and hopefully get the gold from the low grade pins from it. So this is nitric that's from solutions from last year, and I just want to make sure I've used up every bit of nitric inside them because the nitric is so expensive. And once I've done that, we can see how much gold flakes were inside. You can actually see them beginning to appear here on the filters. So there is gold, but it's that very, I don't know what kind of gold you call it. It's the same type that's on the mouse pads. It's a very low grade, very thin grade of gold. Not much out of it, but we'll put it through. There's a few other bits of debris flew into it when I was doing this here when I opened the top. A few bits of sawdust actually, because you can see some sawdust there. I was doing a bit of cutting with a sawdust, getting some timber cut up, so a bit of sawdust fell in there, but that won't make a difference. And we'll just let that all filter through, and once that's filtered through, we'll come back and we'll see what we have. Okay guys, so while that's filtering, I just want to show you this. I have a second lot of them to do. So these are the other ends, or the other bits of them. So you have these little
connectors here on them, a little bit of tin solder on it, or lead solder, whichever it is. So, and there's little, you can see little other bits and pieces in there from them. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with them. So when we come back, the gold that I have filtered will be also from this lot as well as the first lot I put on. So just so you know. So, and then we'll get that gold washed and in distilled water to make sure we get all the nitric off it. And then we're going to use HCl and bleach to hopefully dissolve it. And then we'll drop it and see how much powder we get, how little powder we get. But again, it's low grade stuff, even though it looks nice and shiny. They're not heavily plated, as you'll see once we get to the filtered part of it, and you'll see the gold, how much of it there is, and you'll see that it's not actually really that well plated. So anyhow, let's go and have a look after these are finished. And again, I'm not going to bother showing you putting this through the nitric acid, but I'll use again some more of that solution that I've still left over from last year, and hopefully get all the nitric out of it, and get the gold released, and we'll see what we've got when we filter it. So let's see what we ended up with when we filtered the two lots. Okay, so I have finished filtering, but it wasn't straightforward. Of course, it never does be sometimes. So the gold flakes you would have seen in some shorts I've done on TikToks and stuff like that did come off, but when I went to filter, I ended up with filters like this. So you can see there's some gold still in there, but a lot of white powder. So again, you can see this white powder in here. So let me just tip that out, because I'm sure there's little bits of gold probably still in there as well. But this is the sort of white powder I ended up with. Now, usually I think that is tin, from tin solder or something like that, maybe, that caused it, because we know how that reacts with it. Could possibly be silver, maybe sminting out. But, so the easiest way, if it's silver, is add more nitric and it'll redissolve it. And that did not happen. So I'd added more nitric, washed it in nitric, and that powder did not disappear. So the other thing then is, that leaves me with the conclusion that it's tin. So in order to deal with the tin, what you do is you get a pot like this, a stainless steel pot, put it onto high heat, and you roast the essentially roast the foils and this white powder which is in there. So I done that on one batch, and just to see what would happen. So I've done that, and I've roasted it and washed it with hydrochloric acid then afterwards. Well, washed it with water, of course, to make sure there's no nitric left in it, and then washed it with a hydrochloric solution. So that should then eliminate the tin and leave me with just the gold things. So then this is what I have. So from the roasting, I have that. So that again is probably gold foils that are being heated up and they've gone that colour. But I'm not 100% sure if I've got rid of that, which I presume is tin, that I think is tin. I'm not 100% sure. From the second batch, I didn't roast them. I've just left them like that. So you can see that white powder is in there. And the reason I left it like that is I'm not going to dissolve this yet. I want to see what other people who have done this, have they come across with this issue where you have that white powder. I know it can be called, you get that as tin, but on the second batch, first batch I done of the things, and then I said I was going to do in a second batch. What I done on the second batch to try and make sure that it wasn't tin was I give the contacts a hot hydrochloric to dissolve the tin beforehand. So then that should eliminate any tin that's in there on it. So any of the little tin solder that might have been connected wires to it or whatever. I done that to dissolve, so I pushed it into hydrochloric acid, put it on hot, boiled the hydrochloric acid, so it was really hot hydrochloric acid. That should dissolve the tin solder and lead solder and any other thing that should have been dissolved. But then I still got the white powder when I put it after the nitric. So I'm wondering would it be something to do with the nitric because of the age of the nitric? The nitric I have in the same container. Now the container has a white layer on the inside of the nitric, so I'm wondering, is it coming from that? Is it a reaction on the nitric that's giving me this? Is this like a plastic sort of from the inside of the nitric container? I'm wondering, is it that's causing it? Is it bad nitric? Maybe it's that, because I have that nitric acid for a couple of years now in that same container, so maybe that's where it's coming from. I just don't know. It has me stumped what this white stuff is. So that's why I haven't dissolved this. I was going to put this straight into Aqua Regia and drop the gold, but again, it's a very small amount. And again, we have some. What I was going to do with bleach, not nitric. So because foils. So I'm wondering, will the bleach and hydrochloric acid actually work on these foils that have been burned? Well, roasted is the correct phrase. In a stainless steel pot to try and get rid of any, to oxidize the tin, so that it makes it easier to dissolve, because once it has gone through the nitric, it's a long process, and if you're not into the chemicals and stuff like that, it can be a bit boring. But yeah, so I'm beginning to wonder, is that like a plastic coating maybe that has started to grade into the nitric acid, and when it goes through the solution, and then when I'm dropping out the foils and getting that white powder because of it? I just don't know, because there should have been no white powder in there, because essentially I done a hydrochloric bath on the connectors. So the connectors were put into hot hydrochloric acid to dissolve any tin that was in there, and any solder and stuff like that, any other metals, base metals, so, and then afterwards washed again. All the connectors were washed in distilled water, soaked a couple of times, cleaned off to make sure there's no hydrochloric acid left on them, and then put through the nitric solution, and I still ended up getting that white powder. But anyway, that's just by the by. I still got my gold there, so that can be worked on, and I got my gold in here in this from the roasted stuff. So again, I will try and dissolve them maybe as an experiment with some hydrochloric and bleach, just to see, will it dissolve them, and do we get gold in solution? And if we do, then I can add these as well afterwards and do that. And I have more that I want to do, so maybe in another video we'll come back to these and see. I just want to see what people say in the comments that may have a bit more knowledge on what could have caused this, and may have come across this issue before. But I don't think it's tin or lead or silver. Because again, the nitric acid should have dissolved the silver and kept the silver in solution, and not let it out, because again, I added more nitric. So if it does start to drop out, if you add more nitric, it should dissolve back in, from my basic knowledge of it. I'm not saying I'm 100% correct. I use distilled water, so again, shouldn't be an issue there. So I don't know, it's stumped me. But anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. We did get the gold. If you haven't seen my shorts, have a look at the shorts. You'll see some of the gold being released with the nitric acid floating around. And for HH Recycling, who doesn't understand how the gold is floating on the top, when you put it into nitric acid and you heat the nitric acid, between the heat and the reaction, the gold will float to the top, but once it cools, it falls back down to the bottom. So if that was trying to confuse you, sorry about that. But you'll catch on eventually, HH. Stick at it. Don't worry about it. Only joking, HH. Appreciate your comments. Appreciate your bit of fun. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And if you like this video, check out some more of my videos, and see you on the next one. And again, if you do know what may be causing that, please chirp in, and we'll see, can we solve the problem. Thanks for watching.